I never thought I'd be grateful for my mother's obsession with prenups. But here we are, I muttered, staring at the pristine white walls of our new home. The house was a wedding gift from my parents, Patricia and George, nestled in the picturesque landscape of Upper New York. It was supposed to be the start of our happily ever after, but life had other plans. My husband Bart was busy unpacking boxes in the living room, his tall frame bent over as he sorted through our belongings. "Natalie, honey, can you give me a hand with this?" he called out, his voice muffled by the cardboard. I sighed, pushing away from the window. "Coming," I replied, plastering on a smile as I joined him. As I helped Bart unpack, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. He'd been unusually quiet since we arrived, his usual charm and easygoing nature replaced by a nervous energy. "Everything okay?" I asked, placing a hand on his arm. Bart hesitated, then set down the box he was holding. "Actually, there's something we need to talk about," he said, his blue eyes clouded with worry. My stomach dropped. "What is it?" Before Bart could answer, the doorbell rang. He visibly relaxed, as if saved by the bell. "That must be Mom," he said, hurrying to the door. I froze. His mother, Jennifer, wasn't supposed to visit until next week. I followed Bart to the entryway, where he was already embracing a petite woman with graying hair. "Jennifer," I said, forcing a smile. "What a surprise." Jennifer pulled away from Bart and turned to me, her eyes brimming with tears. "Oh, Natalie," she said, her voice trembling. "I'm so sorry to barge in like this, but I couldn't wait any longer." Bart placed a hand on his mother's shoulder. "Mom, why don't we sit down?" he suggested, leading her to the living room. As we settled onto the couch, surrounded by half-unpacked boxes, I felt a growing sense of dread. Jennifer clutched Bart's hand, her knuckles white. "What's going on?" I asked, looking between them. Jennifer took a deep breath. "I've been diagnosed with terminal cancer," she said, her words hanging heavy in the air. "The doctors say I have less than a year." I gasped, genuinely shocked. "Oh, Jennifer, I'm so sorry," I said, reaching out to touch her arm. She gave me a watery smile. "Thank you, dear, but that's not all." She glanced at Bart, who nodded encouragingly. "I can't live alone anymore, and I was hoping, well, we were hoping." Bart cleared his throat. "Mom's going to move in with us, Natalie," he said, his tone leaving no room for discussion. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. Our new home, our fresh start, was suddenly being invaded. But how could I object? The woman was dying, for heaven's sake. "Of course," I heard myself say, as if from a distance. "We have plenty of room." Jennifer's face lit up. "Oh, thank you both so much," she gushed, pulling us into a group hug. As we embraced, I caught Bart's eye over his mother's shoulder. He mouthed a silent, "thank you," but I couldn't bring myself to smile back. This wasn't how our life together was supposed to begin. Later that night, as Bart slept peacefully beside me, I stared at the ceiling, my mind racing. How had our perfect new beginning turned into this? I loved Bart, but I couldn't shake the feeling that I was losing control of my own life. Little did I know, this was just the beginning of a series of events that would test the limits of my love, patience, and ultimately my capacity for revenge. The aroma of freshly brewed coffee filled the kitchen as I tried to focus on my laptop screen. 3 weeks had passed since Jennifer moved in, and I felt like a stranger in my own home. Every morning, I'd find her rearranging my carefully organized cupboards or changing our routines without consultation. "Natalie, dear," Jennifer's voice chirped from behind me. "I hope you don't mind, but I've invited the ladies from my support group over for tea this afternoon." I gripped my coffee mug tighter, forcing a smile. "Actually, Jennifer, I have an important conference call scheduled for—" "Oh, don't worry," she interrupted, patting my shoulder. "We'll be quiet as church mice. You won't even know we're here." Before I could protest further, Bart wandered into the kitchen, still in his pajamas despite it being nearly noon. "Morning, ladies," he yawned, kissing his mother's cheek before giving me a quick peck. "Bart," I said, trying to keep my voice level, "can I talk to you for a minute, in private?" He followed me to our bedroom, looking confused. "What's up, honey?" I took a deep breath. "Bart, we need to set some boundaries with your mother. She's taking over the house, changing things without asking, and now she's inviting people over during my work hours." Bart's face fell. "Come on, Nat. She's going through a tough time. Can't you cut her some slack?" "I've been cutting her slack for weeks," I snapped. "But this is our home, and I need some say in what goes on here. It's her home now, too, Bart replied, his voice hardening. And in case you've forgotten, she's dying. The least we can do is make her comfortable. I felt a surge of anger. And what about my comfort? My work? Does that not matter anymore? Bart's eyes narrowed. I can't believe how selfish you're being right now. My mother needs us, and all you can think about is yourself. His words hit me like a slap. Selfish? I've bent over backward to accommodate her, but there has to be a limit. Well, maybe you need to be more flexible, Bart shot back. Family comes first, Natalie. I thought you understood that. I stared at him, feeling a chasm opening between us. I thought we were a family, Bart, you and me. He shook his head, looking disappointed. We are, but that includes my mother now, too. I need you to accept that. Without another word, he turned and left the room. I stood there, stunned by the realization that for the first time in our marriage, Bart had chosen someone else over me. The rest of the day passed in a blur. True to her word, Jennifer's friends were quiet, but their presence felt like an invasion. I struggled to concentrate on my call, acutely aware of the murmured conversations and occasional laughter drifting up from downstairs. That evening, as I was clearing up the kitchen, I overheard Bart and Jennifer talking in the living room. I'm worried about Natalie, Jennifer said softly. She seems so tense all the time. Maybe this arrangement isn't working out. No, Mom, Bart replied firmly. This is your home now. Natalie will adjust. She just needs time. I set down the plate I was holding, my hands shaking. Adjust? Was that all I was expected to do? Silently accept the complete upheaval of my life? As I stood there, grappling with a mix of hurt and anger, I caught sight of my reflection in the window. The woman staring back at me looked tired, defeated. This wasn't the strong, independent Natalie I knew myself to be. In that moment, something shifted inside me. I realized that if I didn't stand up for myself now, I might lose myself entirely. But how could I fight back without seeming like the villain in this family drama? Little did I know, the situation was about to become even more complicated, pushing me closer to the breaking point and setting the stage for a confrontation that would change everything. I was in the middle of a crucial work presentation when my phone buzzed incessantly. Ignoring it, I powered through, only to find 5 missed calls from Bart when I finished. My heart raced as I dialed him back, fearing the worst about Jennifer's health. Nat, great news! Bart's voice boomed through the speaker. Cole's coming home. I blinked, confused. Cole? Your brother? What do you mean, coming home? He's quitting his job in California and moving back east, Bart explained, his excitement palpable. He'll stay with us while he gets back on his feet. Isn't it fantastic? The room spun. Another person in our already crowded house? Bart, wait a minute. We can't just... Oh, Mom's calling. Gotta go, love you. He hung up before I could protest. I sat there, stunned. How could Bart make such a monumental decision without even consulting me? Our home wasn't a halfway house for his entire family. That evening, I confronted Bart in the kitchen while Jennifer watched her favorite game show in the living room. We need to talk about Cole, I said, keeping my voice low. Bart looked up from chopping vegetables. What about him? Isn't it great he's coming back? I took a deep breath. Bart, you can't just invite people to live in our home without discussing it with me first. He set down the knife, frowning. Cole's family, Natalie. He needs our support. And what about what I need? I countered. This is my home, too, and I feel like I'm losing all control over it. Bart's expression hardened. You're being selfish again. Cole's going through a tough time, and Mom needs all the family support she can get. Don't you dare call me selfish, I hissed. I've bent over backward to accommodate your mother, but this is too much. We're supposed to be partners, Bart. You can't keep making these decisions unilaterally. I'm not, he insisted. I'm doing what's best for our family. Our family? I laughed bitterly. It seems like your definition of our family doesn't include me anymore. Jennifer's voice floated in from the living room. Is everything all right in there, dears? Bart called back. Everything's fine, Mom, before turning to me with a pleading look. Can we talk about this later? I don't want to upset her. I threw up my hands in frustration and stormed out of the kitchen. As I passed the living room, Jennifer caught my eye, her expression a mix of concern and something else. Was that triumph? The next few days were a flurry of activity as Bart prepared for Cole's arrival. I threw myself into work, trying to ignore the growing resentment in my chest. The night before Cole was due to arrive, I lay awake, staring at the ceiling. "Nat?" Bart's voice was soft in the darkness. "Are you still upset about Cole?" I turned to face him. "It's not just about Cole, Bart. It's about us. I feel like I'm losing you to your family." He reached out, pulling me close. "You're not losing me. You're my wife, and I love you. But my family needs me right now. Can't you understand that?" I wanted to understand. I really did. But as I lay there in Bart's arms, I couldn't shake the feeling that our marriage was slipping away, one family crisis at a time. The next morning, I steeled myself as I heard a car pull up outside. Moments later, the front door burst open, and Cole's booming voice filled the house. "Honey, I'm home," he called out, laughing at his own joke. I plastered on a smile and went to greet him, but stopped short in the hallway. Cole wasn't alone. Behind him stood a young woman, her arm linked with his. "Hey, sis," Cole grinned, oblivious to my shock. "Meet Amber, my fiancée. Hope you don't mind, but she'll be staying with us too. We're getting married." As Bart and Jennifer rushed to congratulate the happy couple, I stood frozen, feeling like an outsider in my own home. This wasn't just an invasion anymore. It was a full-scale takeover. And I was the only one who seemed to care. The once pristine kitchen counters were now cluttered with empty beer bottles and half-eaten bags of chips. I grimaced as I navigated the mess, the acrid smell of stale cigarette smoke assaulting my nostrils. This wasn't my home anymore. It was a frat house. "Cole," I called out, my patience wearing thin. "How many times do I have to ask you to clean up after yourself?" A muffled groan came from the living room. I stormed in to find Cole sprawled on the couch, Amber curled up beside him. The coffee table was littered with more bottles and an overflowing ashtray. "Sorry, sis," Cole mumbled, not bothering to open his eyes. "We'll get to it later." I clenched my fists, fighting the urge to scream. "No, you'll get to it now. I have clients coming over in an hour, and this place is a pigsty." Amber stirred, fixing me with a bleary-eyed glare. "Chill out, Natalie. It's not like it's a big deal." Before I could respond, Jennifer appeared in the doorway, her face etched with concern. "What's all the commotion about?" I turned to her, exasperated. "Jennifer, look at this mess. It's unacceptable." She waved a dismissive hand. "Oh, they're young. Let them have their fun. I'll tidy up later." "That's not the point," I snapped. "This is my home, and I expect it to be respected." Jennifer's eyes narrowed. "Our home, dear. Remember, we're all family here." The word family felt like a slap in the face. I opened my mouth to argue further, but the smell of smoke suddenly intensified. Whirling around, I saw flames licking up the curtains near where Cole had carelessly tossed a cigarette butt. "Fire!" I screamed, rushing to grab the fire extinguisher. Chaos erupted as everyone scrambled to action. I managed to douse the flames, but not before they left a large charred hole in the expensive curtains my mother had gifted us. As the smoke cleared, I stood there, shaking with anger and shock. Bart burst into the room, having heard the commotion from upstairs. "What happened?" he demanded, looking around wildly. "Your brother?" I spat. "Almost burned down our house because he can't be bothered to use an ashtray." Cole had the decency to look ashamed. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean—" "Save it," I cut him off. "I want you and Amber out, now." Bart stepped between us. "Natalie, calm down, it was an accident." I couldn't believe my ears. "Calm down? Bart, do you not see how serious this is?" "Of course I do," he said, his voice maddeningly calm. "But kicking them out isn't the answer. We're family, we need to stick together." I looked around at their faces, Bart's pleading, Jennifer's disapproving, Cole's sheepish, Amber's defiant. In that moment, I felt more alone than ever. "Fine," I said, my voice cold. "If that's how you all feel, I'll be the one to leave." I stormed upstairs, throwing some clothes into a bag. As I zipped it up, Bart appeared in the doorway. "Nat, don't do this," he begged. "Where will you go?" I shouldered past him. "Anywhere but here." As I reached the front door, Jennifer called out, "Natalie, dear, you're overreacting. Why don't we all sit down and talk about this?" I turned to face them one last time. "There's nothing to talk about. You've made it clear where your priorities lie, Bart. And it's not with me or our marriage." With that, I walked out, slamming the door behind me. As I got into my car, hands shaking as I gripped the steering wheel, I realized I had no idea where I was going. But I knew one thing for certain. I couldn't stay in that house another minute. As I drove away, tears blurring my vision, I felt a mix of anger, betrayal, and an overwhelming sense of loss. The life I thought I had, the marriage I believed in, it was all crumbling around me. And for the first time, I allowed myself to consider a possibility I'd been avoiding for weeks. Maybe this marriage wasn't worth saving after all. I returned home after 3 days at a hotel, my anger simmering, but my resolve strengthened. As I walked through the front door, the eerie silence struck me. No TV blaring, no chatter, no mess in sight. Something was off. Bart emerged from the kitchen, his face a mask of forced calm. "Natalie, we need to talk." I steeled myself. "Yes, we do. This situation is untenable, Bart. Things need to change." He nodded, gesturing to the living room. As we sat down, I noticed Jennifer peering from behind a partially closed door. My jaw clenched. "I've been thinking," Bart began, his voice unnaturally steady. "Maybe it's best if we take some time apart." The words hit me like a physical blow. "What?" He couldn't meet my eyes. "It's just the constant arguing, the tension. It's not good for anyone, especially Mom in her condition." I felt like I was drowning. "So you want to separate because I'm making your mother uncomfortable?" "It's not just that," he hurried to add. "Your attitude, the constant nagging, it's creating a toxic environment for everyone." I laughed bitterly. "My attitude? Bart, have you looked around lately? Your family has taken over our home, our life." "See, this is exactly what I'm talking about," he sighed. "You keep saying your family like they're not your family, too." "Because they're not acting like it," I exploded. "They've shown zero respect for me or this home, and you've done nothing but enable them." Bart's face hardened. "They're going through a difficult time. I thought you'd be more understanding." Understanding? I was on my feet now, shaking with fury. "I've been nothing but understanding. I've put up with your mother rearranging my home, your brother nearly burning it down, and you've consistently chosen them over me, your wife." "That's not fair," Bart protested weakly. "No, what's not fair is you blindsiding me with this separation nonsense instead of standing up for our marriage." The door creaked open, and Jennifer stepped out, her face a picture of concern. "I'm so sorry, dears. I never meant to cause such strife." I rounded on her. "Oh, save it, Jennifer. This is exactly what you wanted, isn't it? To drive a wedge between us?" Bart jumped to his feet. "That's enough. How dare you accuse my mother?" "Your mother, your brother, your family," I spat. "That's all I've heard for months. What about me, Bart? What about us?" He ran a hand through his hair, frustration etched on his face. "I don't know what you want from me, Natalie. I'm trying to keep everyone happy." "Except me," I finished for him. "Well, congratulations. You've succeeded in making everyone happy but your wife." Jennifer stepped closer, reaching out to touch my arm. "Natalie, dear, perhaps if you tried to be a little more accommodating." I jerked away from her. "Don't touch me, and don't you dare tell me how to behave in my own home." Bart's eyes flashed with anger. "That's it. I can't take this anymore. Natalie, I think you should leave. Take some time to cool off and think about your priorities." I stared at him, disbelief and hurt warring inside me. "My priorities? What about yours, Bart? When did I stop being your priority?" He didn't answer, just looked away. In that moment, I saw our marriage for what it truly was, a sham, a convenience for Bart to play the dutiful son and brother while I faded into the background. "Fine," I said, my voice cold. "I'll leave. But don't expect me to come crawling back, begging for forgiveness. This time, you've gone too far." As I stormed upstairs to pack a bag, I heard Jennifer consoling Bart, telling him he'd done the right thing. Their voices faded as I moved through our bedroom, grabbing essentials. My hand paused over a framed photo of Bart and me on our wedding day. With a sudden, decisive movement, I slammed it face down. That happy couple was gone, replaced by strangers occupying the same space. As I left, bag in hand, I realized this wasn't just about saving my marriage anymore. It was about saving myself. I sat in my best friend Sarah's living room, clutching a glass of wine like a lifeline. My voice cracked as I recounted the events of the past few months, ending with Bart's devastating suggestion of separation. Sarah's eyes flashed with anger. "That spineless weasel! How dare he choose his family over you?" I sighed, feeling drained. "I don't know what to do, Sarah. I feel like I've lost everything." She leaned forward, her expression determined. "No, Natalie, you haven't lost everything. You've lost dead weight. It's time to take back control of your life." Her words sparked something inside me. But how? Bart and his family have taken over my home, my life. Sarah's lips curved into a sly smile. Remember who owns that house, Nat? Your parents gave it to you, not Bart. My eyes widened as realization dawned. You're right, the deed is in my name. Exactly, Sarah nodded. It's time to talk to your parents and a lawyer. You need to protect yourself and your assets. The next day, I met with my parents, Patricia and George. Their faces were a mix of concern and anger as I explained the situation. Oh, sweetheart, Mom said, pulling me into a hug. We had no idea things had gotten so bad. Dad's voice was steel. That boy never deserved you, Natalie, or our generosity. I took a deep breath. I need your help. I want to fight back, but I'm not sure how. Mom and Dad exchanged a look. We have just the person, Dad said, reaching for his phone. Remember your cousin Michael? He's a divorce attorney now. Within hours, I was sitting in Michael's office, laying out my story. He listened intently, his brow furrowing as I spoke. Natalie, he said when I finished, based on what you've told me, you have a strong case. The house is clearly your separate property, not a marital asset. Bart has no claim to it. Hope bloomed in my chest. So what do we do? Michael's smile was predatory. We go on the offensive. I'll draw up divorce papers immediately. We'll make it clear that Bart and his family need to vacate your property. As I left Michael's office, a plan forming in my mind, my phone buzzed. It was Bart. Natalie, please come home, his voice was pleading. We need to talk. I steeled myself. I'll be there in an hour. Walking into our house, my house, I felt a surge of confidence. Bart was waiting in the living room, looking haggard. Nat, I'm so sorry, he began. I've been thinking, and I realize I made a mistake. Can we please work this out? I almost laughed. Work what out, Bart? The fact that you chose your family over me? That you let them disrespect me in my own home? He flinched. I know I messed up, but no. I cut him off. There are no buts. It's too late for apologies. Bart's face fell. What are you saying? I took a deep breath, channeling all my hurt and anger into my next words. I'm saying it's over, Bart. I want a divorce. The color drained from his face. Divorce? Natalie? Please, let's not be hasty. Hasty, I scoffed. I've been patient for months, while you and your family walked all over me. Well, not anymore. Jennifer appeared in the doorway, her face a mask of concern. What's going on? I turned to her, my voice ice. What's going on is that you, Cole, and Amber need to start packing. This is my house, and I want you all out. Bart stood up, his face twisted with anger. You can't do that. This is our home. I pulled out the papers Michael had given me. Actually, I can, please. This house was a gift from my parents to me. It's not marital property, Bart. You have no claim to it. As the reality of the situation sank in, I saw the shock and disbelief on their faces. For the first time in months, I felt a sense of power and control. You have 1 week to move out, I said, my voice steady. All of you. As I turned to leave, Bart grabbed my arm. Natalie, please. Don't do this. I love you. I jerked away from him, tears stinging my eyes. If you loved me, Bart, we wouldn't be here. Goodbye. Walking out of the house, I felt a mix of emotions. Sadness, anger, but most of all, a sense of liberation. The war wasn't over, but I had just won a major battle, and I was ready to fight for my life back, no matter what it took. The week following my ultimatum passed in a blur of legal meetings and tense silence at home. Bart and his family seemed to be in a state of shock, tiptoeing around me as if I might explode at any moment. Part of me relished their discomfort, but another part ached for the life I thought we'd have. On the day of our first negotiation meeting, I steeled myself in the parking lot of Michael's office. This was it, the moment that would define my future. As I walked in, I saw Bart sitting there with his own lawyer, a sharp-looking woman in her 50s. His eyes were red-rimmed, and he looked like he hadn't slept in days. For a moment, my resolve wavered. Natalie, he said, his voice cracking, please, can we talk about this privately? I shook my head. We're beyond that, Bart. Let's just get this over with. Michael cleared his throat. All right, let's begin. Mr. Harrison, we've prepared a comprehensive divorce settlement. The main point of contention is, of course, the house. Bart's lawyer leaned forward. Yes, about that. My client contends that as the house was a wedding gift, it should be considered marital property. I felt a surge of anger, but Michael just smiled. I'm afraid that's not the case. We have documentation proving the house was gifted solely to Mrs. Harrison by her parents. It's her separate property. The color drained from Bart's face. What? But that's our home. We've lived there for years. Be that as it may, Michael continued, legally the house belongs to Natalie. She's within her rights to ask you and your family to vacate the premises. Bart turned to me, his eyes pleading. Natalie, you can't do this. Where will we go? What about my mother? I felt a lump in my throat but pushed through. I'm sorry, Bart, but you should have thought about that before you let your family take over our lives. His lawyer whispered something to him, and Bart's face hardened. Fine, if that's how you want to play it, we'll fight this in court. I'm sure a judge will see reason. Michael shook his head. I wouldn't advise that, Mr. Harrison. The law is clear on this matter. You'd be wasting time and money you don't have. The meeting devolved into heated arguments and tense negotiations. Hours passed and I felt my energy draining. Just when I thought we'd reached an impasse, Bart suddenly deflated. Enough, he said, his voice barely above a whisper. I'll sign the papers. We'll move out. Relief washed over me, but it was tinged with sadness. This was really happening. My marriage was over. As we prepared to leave, Bart caught my arm. Natalie, I know I messed up, but is this really what you want? To throw away everything we had? I looked into his eyes, seeing the man I once loved. We threw it away a long time ago, Bart. This is just making it official. Leaving the office, I felt a mix of triumph and loss. I had won, but at what cost? That evening, as I sat alone in my quiet house, the reality of my situation hit me. I was free, but I was also alone. The house that was once filled with laughter and love now felt empty and cold. My phone buzzed, a text from Sarah. How did it go? Want me to come over? I stared at the message, tears welling up in my eyes. This was my new reality. No more Bart, no more in-laws, no more chaos. Just me in this big, empty house. As I typed my reply, I realized that this wasn't just the end of my marriage. It was the beginning of a new chapter in my life. One that I would write on my own terms. Come over, I texted back. It's time to celebrate my independence. I took a deep breath, looking around at the house that was now truly mine. The battle was won, but the war of rebuilding my life was just beginning. And for the first time in months, I felt ready to face whatever came next. The day Bart and his family were set to move out dawned bright and clear, a stark contrast to the storm of emotions raging inside me. I stood at the window, watching as a moving truck pulled up to the curb. Bart emerged from the house, carrying a box. Our eyes met briefly, and I saw a flicker of regret in his gaze before he quickly looked away. Jennifer followed, leaning heavily on Cole's arm. She glanced up at my window, her expression unreadable. As I watched them load the truck, memories flooded back. The day we moved in, our housewarming party, the countless dinners and lazy Sundays we'd shared. For a moment, doubt crept in. Was I making a mistake? The doorbell rang, jolting me from my reverie. I opened it to find Sarah standing there, a bottle of champagne in one hand and a determined look on her face. I figured you could use some moral support, she said, stepping inside. I smiled gratefully. You have no idea. We sat in the kitchen, watching the proceedings through the window. Sarah poured us each a glass of champagne. To new beginnings, she toasted. As we clinked glasses, Bart appeared in the doorway. Natalie, can we talk? Just for a minute? Sarah squeezed my hand and discreetly left the room. I steeled myself, facing Bart. What is it? I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. He ran a hand through his hair, looking lost. I wanted to say I'm sorry, for everything. I never meant for things to end up like this. I felt a lump in my throat. Neither did I, Bart. But we can't go back. He nodded, his eyes glistening. I know. I just hope, someday, you can forgive me. As he turned to leave, I called out, Bart? He paused, looking back. I hope you find happiness, I said softly. A sad smile crossed his face. You too, Nat. You deserve it. And then he was gone. I watched from the window as the moving truck pulled away, taking with it the remnants of my old life. Sarah reappeared, wrapping an arm around my shoulders. How are you feeling? I took a deep breath. Honestly, I'm not sure. Relieved, sad, scared, all of the above? She nodded understandingly. That's normal. But you know what? You're free now. This is your chance to rediscover yourself. As her words sank in, I felt a spark of excitement ignite within me. She was right. For the first time in years, I was truly free to live life on my own terms. We spent the rest of the day reimagining the house. We moved furniture, discussed paint colors, and planned a complete overhaul of the guest room, Jennifer's old room, into a home office. As evening fell, we sat on the patio, enjoying the peaceful silence. Sarah's phone buzzed, and she grinned as she read the message. "So," she said, a mischievous glint in her eye, "remember my colleague, David? The one I told you about?" I nodded, curious. "Well, he's been asking about you. Wanted to know if you might be interested in grabbing coffee sometime." I felt a flutter of nervousness and excitement. "I don't know, Sarah. Isn't it too soon?" She shook her head. "It's just coffee, Nat. No pressure, but it might be nice to remember that there are good men out there, men who will put you first." I thought about it for a moment, then smiled. "You know what? Tell him I'd love to." As Sarah tapped out a reply, I gazed out at the garden, feeling a sense of peace wash over me. The path ahead was uncertain, but for the first time in months, I felt hopeful. This house, once a symbol of my failed marriage, now represented a new beginning. It was mine, truly mine, to fill with new memories, new friendships, and perhaps someday new love. I raised my glass in a silent toast to the end of one chapter and the exciting beginning of another. Whatever the future held, I was ready to face it head-on, stronger and wiser than before. As the sun set on this tumultuous day, I realized that sometimes the end of one dream is simply the beginning of a better one, and I couldn't wait to see what this new dream had in store for me.